Have you ever felt absolutely certain that you were making your own independent choice about something, only to realize later that you might have been, well, gently nudged in a specific direction? Today, we are going to dive deep into the hidden systems that quietly pull the strings of our daily reality. We're unpacking the fascinating and honestly sometimes pretty unsettling architecture of unseen influence. To anchor this entire analysis today, let's bring in this incredibly powerful observation from Noam Chomsky. He says people not only don't know what's happening to them, they don't even know that they don't know. That two-part idea right there, that's our central mystery. Together, we're going to peel back the layers on this to uncover exactly how our perception of the world is manipulated and why we are usually totally blind to it. All right, part one, the illusion of control. Are we active agents? Let's dissect that very first half of Chomsky's quote about our profound lack of awareness. There's a huge contrast in how we view ourselves. I mean, we all naturally prefer to think we are the active agents in our own lives, right? Fiercely independent, completely in charge of our own destiny. But the harsh reality we're looking at today is that we often act more like passive recipients of information. We're absorbing the world like sponges rather than actually directing our own choices. Moving on to part two, forces shaping our lives, the hidden architectures. Let's look directly at the tangible forces making up this hidden architecture. What exactly are these forces? Well, we can basically categorize this invisible chaos into four massive external buckets operating behind the scenes. We've got the social and cultural, the political and economic, the psychological, and of course the technological. Every single one of these represents a major pillar of influence that structures the reality you and I experience every single day. Let's break down how each pillar actually operates. On the social and cultural side, our beliefs are constantly being shaped by unconscious biases, societal norms, and relentless media narratives. Then, look at the political and economic sphere. Here we're influenced by hidden agendas, subtle propaganda, and overarching systems of power. Moving to the psychological, there are unseen techniques deliberately designed to alter our thoughts, our emotions, and ultimately our decisions. And finally, technological influence, which is just massive today. Algorithms and continuous data collection are silently curating the exact online reality you experience. Every single one of these mechanisms is curating our worldview, and they're doing it entirely without our explicit consent. Okay, part three, unconscious incompetence, or the insidious blind spot. Now we really need to shift gears to the second, much more insidious half of Chomsky's quote. We've seen the external forces. Now we're heading deep into our own psyche. Think about the difference between these two states of mind. Simply not knowing what is happening is basically just standard ignorance. We've all been there. But not knowing that you don't know, that is a completely different and much more dangerous state. That's a total unawareness of your own blind spots. You aren't just missing the full picture, you literally don't even realize a picture exists. Psychologists actually have a term for this: unconscious incompetence. It's a state where a person is not only ignorant, but they firmly, genuinely believe they are highly knowledgeable. And the absolutely crucial point here is that this false sense of expertise makes us incredibly vulnerable. Why? Because we stop looking for the catch. If you are entirely convinced you already know exactly what's going on, your guard drops completely. You aren't even open to the possibility that you might be getting played. Which naturally brings us to a huge question. I want you to pause for a second and just ask yourself, if all these massive social, political, psychological, and technological forces are constantly manipulating us, how do we manage to fall into these traps so easily? Why on earth don't we see the invisible strings? Part 4 tackles exactly that. Why are we blind? Our cognitive betrayals. To answer that question, we have to realize this blindness isn't some personal moral failure on our part. It's actually the result of comfortable, inherent mental traps our brains naturally set for us. Our brains literally have built-in cognitive limitations. We actively seek out confirmation rather than objective truth. Plus, let's be honest, many of us suffer from a simple lack of critical thinking training. We just were never given the tools to analyze this kind of manipulation. And finally, it's just human nature to find immense comfort in the familiar. We put up active resistance to new information if it threatens our comfortable little bubble. Perhaps the most powerful internal trap of all is confirmation bias. This is our tendency to seek out information that just confirms whatever we already believe. We naturally crave validation. We love being told we're right. So rather than critically challenging our worldview and stepping outside our comfort zones, we unconsciously build our own echo chambers. We're essentially doing the manipulator's work for them. All right, part 5, the cost of ignorance, the price we pay. Now that we understand the external architecture of this manipulation and the internal cognitive traps that keep us blind to it, we have to ask, what is the actual cost? Well, the cost is pretty steep. This severe lack of awareness has a massive impact on our personal freedom. Without it, individual autonomy and making truly informed choices are literally impossible. Think about it. You cannot be free if your choices are being curated by an algorithm or a hidden agenda that you can't even perceive. True autonomy fundamentally requires you to see those invisible strings. When we zoom out to the broader implications, the good news is that every vulnerability has a direct, actionable defense. If the risk is an abuse of power in our social and political systems, the required solution is demanding transparency and accountability. If we're highly susceptible to propaganda, we absolutely have to cultivate media literacy and learn to discern reliable info. And if the risk is stagnant personal growth, we have to actively practice self-reflection and relentlessly question our own assumptions. Which leads us to part 6, the wake-up call, reclaiming our agency. We don't have to stay stuck in unconscious incompetence. This entire analysis is really a wake-up call to shift from passive manipulation into an empowered state of autonomy. And the path forward is pretty clear. Step 1, we have to humble ourselves and just acknowledge our own cognitive limitations and biases. Step 2, we need to actively question our assumptions and those super familiar narratives we've been handed. And step 3, commit to becoming conscious, critical thinkers. That is how we foster real personal growth and start dismantling that architecture of influence. Let's circle back to that Chomsky quote one last time. They don't even know that they don't know. Think about how much more profound that hits now. We've seen the social, political, and technological forces at play. We've seen the psychological blind spots that keep them perfectly hidden. The entire goal here is to make sure this quote no longer applies to you. I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on after we wrap up today. Ask yourself, what comfortable belief are you holding on to right now, and who actually benefits from you keeping it? Take a hard look at your media consumption, reevaluate your autonomy, and start looking for the unseen architecture around you. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive, and remember to keep questioning everything.